This week, we confront a terrifying new villain. Half man, half microwave, all evil. The Mean Cuisine enters our hall of superhumans. Also, this week's episode is entirely scripted, and you can find your own copy of the script and read along with us at libraryofbabel.info. We have a dream, we have an agenda, and we clearly just want to watch the world burn in a blazing ball of anarcho-nerd culture. It's Lose a Turn. Welcome to it. Greetings and salutations. I'm your host, Chuck Mullins, and joining me today we have Jack Mullins and Matt Herring. How you guys doing?
I'm good.
It's good to hear.
I'm trying. I can't wait till finals are over.
Yeah, I believe it, man.
I'm pretty tired myself. I can still see my bedhead.
Yeah, I know there are a lot of other people out there right now going through finals. If you are and it's stressful for you, just understand that, like, I'm not even acknowledging my birthday coming up, and it is a milestone birthday, until after finals. So, I feel you. I feel you so hard. It's kind of intimate, actually.
I feel you so hard.
Yeah, man. It's so unfortunately this week's episode is being produced a bit differently than our previous installments. My computer blew the hell up during last week's episode. So on top of all of his schoolwork, he'll also be editing all of the audio and video for this week, and I'll be enjoying my free time by playing on my RetroPie and pretending to help.
So yes, if you have any complaints about this week's episode or last week's episode, just go ahead and send those emails over to jbinks@loseaturn.com.
Yeah, let's blame it on Jack. Jbinks.
Hey, fuck you. Oh, Chuck, since you won't be doing any work on editing, you can write all the posts and all the website postings.
Yeah, no thanks. I'll be working on Mattcast and destroying it and removing it from the planet. So this week, our superhuman, the Mean Cuisine. I don't know if you've ever watched The Tick. You should have. And there was a villain in there that had a chair for a head, and he was named Chairface. Very much like that, the Mean Cuisine, his entire head is a microwave. And you always know when he's coming, you just wait for 5 to 10 seconds between each pop, and it's already too late. I don't know, I was trying to make a popcorn reference. It didn't work.
Terrible.
Yeah.
That was almost dad joke level.
Matt's editing this week, so he'll insert something funny there. You are all welcome. Can't even speak English.
I'll insert a fart or a burp.
There you go.
All South Park style about it, too.
Quality episodes. So what actually happened is this YouTuber was performing some dare and essentially cemented his head inside of a microwave. Now, he was using polyfilla, which is not technically concrete or cement, but has a very similar effect. I don't understand what the plan was after cementing his own head inside of a microwave, but apparently whatever he had in mind didn't work out, and he was unable to get his head free of the microwave and was nearly suffocating. To prevent him from actually getting like cement into the nose and mouth, they had the brilliant idea of putting a plastic bag over his head before shoving his head in the microwave. Brilliant. And about 90 minutes later of him trying to get his head out of this and being like practically
so
unable
many
to breathe,
questions.
they were able to shove some sort of hose in a gap in the bag just so he could get some oxygen. So after an hour and a half, they finally call the firefighters to come and help, and it took like 5 firefighters more than an hour of carefully chiseling and breaking this crap away before he was freed.
I smell a new episode of 1,000 Ways to Die.
Yeah.
I mean, what the...
Get them all in one short little 90-minute clip, too.
I mean, that's Darwinism at its finest, isn't it? I mean, this is fucking ridiculous.
No, he survived.
But he survived, yeah.
This
It's
disproves
honorable mention at this point.
Darwinism. We We have been wrong.
Well, what the
all of
hell?
these
No,
years.
with the help of the-
Evolution is clearly a myth after this guy.
No, fuck that. He would have absolutely died if it weren't for the help of 5 fucking firemen chiseling near his face.
I don't know. I would have thought having your head cemented into a microwave for 90 minutes would have done the job, but
I wonder if at about minute 45 they decided to plug it in and just press defrost to see if that worked.
I like at this point, I do not believe that the firefighters were actually ancillary to his salvation. I think there was something else going on. He was not meant to survive. God had a plan for him, and again, I just all my faith in evolution is completely shattered right now.
Are you suggesting this is like a Final Destination thing? Like he escaped what was supposed to be his death, so now something even far more absurd is going to happen to him to kill him?
No, I'm suggesting that he could not have killed himself with that. There's no final destination for him. He's clearly the second coming of Jesus or some. I have no idea, but
that's
he
his
should.
second superhuman ability.
Let's
He can't
recap. Let me make sure I understand. This man shoved his head in a plastic/concrete type of substance, putting a paper bag over his face so that the substance wouldn't get in his mucal membranes.
That's correct.
So shouldn't have been able to breathe because of the plastic bag. Shouldn't have been able to breathe because of the heavy substance all around his face, and his lungs shouldn't be able to press against that to get air in and out. 90 minutes of this, he's not dying in it. His head's also in a microwave that they tried to turn on.
I mean, I wish they did. I don't know that they tried that. I just really wish they did. Like, well, we can't call the cops. They're going to laugh at us. Oh, I've got an idea.
So, well, if they weren't trying to turn it on, why put his head in the microwave in the first place? I don't understand that.
None of this makes sense. It's not supposed to fucking make sense. This is...
Stop trying to find a logic in it, Matt.
Okay, well, no, I will always find the logic in it, and if that's what you're saying, Chuck, then I'm going with it does make sense. Heroin. Meth. I'm sorry.
The usual suspects.
The usual suspects. It is loose a turn after all.
Absolutely friggin' absurd. It's unbelievable. But, you know, it's someone trying to get their 5 minutes of fame. Just YouTube something stupid, and then you get famous for, like, all of a year. It's really stupid, the lengths people are going to for this little bit of fame. I mean, I guess I'm no better, but...
Initially, when you were talking about this, for some odd reason, I instantly had the, like, imagination that, like, they cut a hole in the bottom of the microwave.
Oh, yeah.
That way, so he could just open up the door and you could see him.
Yeah.
That's what was
that
going
would
through
have
my
been
head
so
at
much
first.
better.
It would have.
Yeah, there's a lot more that could have been done with that. I mean, what kind of video are you going to take anyways? You can't look at a camera, you can't say anything. Like, at least with your method, you could, like, you know...
You could prank people, cut a hole in the counter.
Right.
Yeah.
Hide in the counter with the... As someone opens it, they try to...
See, endless possibilities at that point, you know? That would have been great.
Yes, we might have to cut this section out and actually do this.
Yeah, we I don't know if we can trademark that or not. Fuck. Copyright it? I don't even... Not trademark. I'm so bad at things.
Well, I had the idea for the thumbnail now.
Yeah, sure enough. An interesting development in the land of science, we've been able to inject information into the brain of monkeys. There were 3 monkeys that were used in this test that the University of Rochester performed, in which they were taught to play a game where they had 3 different shaped objects that would light up, and they would then have to perform a specific task based off which object lit up. So there's like a little circle, then you turn a knob, and there's like a little square, and then you press the button, and, you know, object 3 had its own unique Bop It style thing. After they've learned to play the game, and they had a high, like, 95% success rate of doing it correctly, they started to dim the lights that were signaling them which action to take over time, to where they were incredibly faint. And while this was happening, they were getting readings from their brain to determine where, you know, each response came from. And after, you know, mapping that out, they decided to stimulate those parts of the brain and turn off the lights entirely.
Now, did they use electrodes to stimulate it, or like some sort of injection or serum? Like, are we talking big, giant, scary needles going directly into your cerebellum, or?
That would have been nice if they could literally just inject information, but no, it was electrodes giving small,
Okay.
tiny little pulses to those parts of the
Okay.
brain.
So
And
this is. Go ahead, Jack.
What the fuck would they be injecting into their, like, if it was a needle and a syringe? What's in that syringe, Matt?
Oh, hormones. Hormones. Anything that will send a chemical signal.
Drano.
Drano would send quite the signal.
And I'm sure it would teach our hero to not put his head in a microwave. It would inject that information into it.
I just imagine.
this
I just
sounds
imagine
very
the
similar to. Oh, I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead.
This sounds very similar to like when a doctor takes not a scalp. Oh my god, nightmares. They take that
Jesus.
little hammer to
Thanks for that.
your knee to check your reflexes.
Mm-hmm.
And they create that involuntary jerk. I almost said scalpel.
I know, I
that
heard
little
that. And
knee area is.
thanks for developing
terrifying.
that night terror for me.
But yes, is it similar to that method at all, or like with guy who replaced the head on the dead body a few weeks ago?
So with those cases, they're sending enough of a shock to actually cause, a muscular reaction. In this point, they were using very, very faint, small little pulses of electricity that I think essentially mimic the natural amount of electricity and flow in the brain. And this caused the monkeys to perform the actions that they were supposed to without having the visual cue. And these are complex actions rather than just like a sudden impulsive response. They were,
Right.
oh, okay, now it's time to turn the knob. Now it's time to press this button. Now it's time to, throw feces at the doctor and tell him to stop electrocuting my brain. And they performed with the exact same success rate as they were with the visual cues.
What portion
that's
of the
awesome.
brain were they triggering with this? Were they going straight for the pituitary and again creating a hormonal chemical, or were they specifically
I
targeting
believe part of the
motor
premotor
skills?
Oh,
cortex.
Yeah, premotor cortex is what it
wow.
was.
That's impressive. I wasn't aware that you could actually map that in fine detail with the specific subject because of the plasticity of brains, but it sounds like that you can with reliability. So wait. Is the point that this was not involuntary at all, that they were interpreting information, or are they?
I don't
Are
think it's
they-
an impulse. I think it is interpreting information. It was essentially
Wow.
bypassing our friend Sonic Hedgehog, the proteins that deliver that information. It was bypassing that, skipping the visual cortex completely, and giving them the same signal that the Sonic Hedgehog would have, and they performed the action voluntarily because of
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
so
no,
the development for this, the use case essentially is to be able to help people who had some sort of brain damage or delayed visual cortex response, and it can be
Now-
used to.
Transplant.
Oh,
Essentially.
hold on. You
Sections
didn't
of-
get this out of a science journal, did you?
No,
This is
I-
a normal site like Gizmodo or something like that.
this is New York Times,
New York Times. Okay, way to fucking bury the lead, New York Times.
right?
We're talking about deep dive here. The idea that you can send information and signals to the brain that will be interpreted as sensory information just
Right.
through electrodes.
Yeah,
That's a full dive VR experience. That's what
Yeah.
we've all
Yeah.
been dreaming about. Now,
Oh, yeah.
I know it's got years of perfection before we'd be ready for anything like that, but as a proof of concept, good. How do you bury a lead like that? That's insane.
Yeah.
it absolutely is. But
Assuming we're correct in our understanding of this.
I believe we are correct in our understanding of it, at least based off the information that we've been provided. But you're absolutely
Mhm.
right. I mean, I think it's probably just because this is a layman's media, so perhaps they, didn't know how to handle the information they were trying to present, is what it seems like.
Oh,
But,
yeah, make it Snoresville for everybody. I mean,
yeah.
you have to, if you have to attract people by saying, yeah, no, we're injecting
Information
and
into
conjure the
monkeys.
image of a giant needle going into the brain, then
I was just about to.
you've
I was
already
about to
gone
bring
from
that
your
up.
target
Yeah.
demographic.
Yeah.
Yeah, the way they wanted to catch anybody's eye was a giant needle going into her brain. Like, good job there, Nick. Good job.
This information cited by TMZ.
Wow.
So speaking of some more TMZ style fucking science, a new discovery this last week. Yes, this week. Oh wait, no, that's absolutely not where I was supposed to be going. Sorry about that, guys. Scientists were able to derive fuel from beer, and it was
What's so impressive about that? I do that daily.
right. I mean, that's my fuel. I mean, you think this
I'm a
is
fan of
coffee?
beer,
It's
but-
half whiskey. I mean, Irish coffee's the way to go.
So what kind of fuel? Are we talking like ethanol corn stuff, or are we...
Well, it was used. I mean, of course, ethanol is what they're using to convert, or that's the chemical they're converting, and through some sort of catalyst, they're able to turn it into butanol, which is a very effective fuel that could reduce our reliance upon petrol.
Allegedly.
Again, this is TMZ. So TMZ says that we should be using this as a primary source of transportation fuel by 2022. So they think it would just within the next 5 years we should be able to. And my other understanding is that this would work with our current vehicles, that it doesn't require, conversion of any of the fuel system of a vehicle or a new design. So it should be compatible with our existing gremlins.
This is all just a ploy to spike the price of beer.
Well, I mean, Budweiser would actually be worth something at that point.
Damn it. Well, your craft beer is gonna be $20 a can.
True enough.
Or a
But I mean, at
bottle.
least you can get tanked with your car's fuel tank.
I need to get drunk. Just put a straw in the gas tank.
Siphon it.
Yeah.
Just siphon it from someone else. Whatever you don't drink, it's good for...
Do I really need to go to work tomorrow? Can I just drink my fuel?
Yeah.
All right, so this is why TMZ is an incredible news source, and
yes.
I mean that in the literal sense of the word. 5 years, fucking insanity. Who the hell? What are they smoking? 5 years for that. You're from a logistical standpoint, you're talking 15 years just to start refining that substance. How much ethanol is in a beer? You're talking maybe if the beer is 5% alcohol, maybe 3% of it's going to be a qualified ethanol for the conversion. How long does it take to brew beer? That it's insanity. Like you could set up the infrastructure, you could set up a few refineries to process it like this. It's still not going to supply a nation, let alone the world, with enough to replace petrol products. They're absolutely insane. Like investing in this kind of technology when we're getting so much better with battery and other products is absolutely insane. Go ahead.
Clearly, they aren't actually going to be using beer. They aren't going to actually find a use for Milwaukee's Beast and convert that into fuel.
Correct,
They'll just
but-
go straight
Right,
to
right.
Miller
creating
High
dry
Life.
ethanol.
No, but the problem is you've got that's the only place you would have the logistical might to supply our nation with it. Like say, okay, all beer in the US, you can't really make beer anymore. You've got to make our next fuel source. This is more important. And short of doing that, which again would not be sufficient in the first place. And this is just an absolutely insane proposition. And you know what? It's working. They're getting us talking about it. They're getting us calling it insane. People are probably going to go read the article because of it. But
I was about to say, I mean, that was That's exactly their point. We did exactly what they wanted. We're talking about it now. We're spreading it to the world.
That's true. That's true. I mean, I have no idea whether or not this will actually take off and reach mass production or not. I have no way of seeing the future. However, I do know of a little robot who can. Yeah, segue. UC Berkeley has developed a robotic learning technology that enables robots to imagine the future. So, as an example, they're able to, without any direct input, look and see an object here, and the intention is to put it over here. And it's able to teach itself to pick up the object and move it around other obstacles and put it into the, intended target point. So
without any prior knowledge to physics, even, and how that even works, which I found fascinating.
Yep, and I think that's the most important thing right now in the field of artificial intelligence is if you have to program it to do something specific, then you could have just done it yourself. So there's a high focus on self-learning, minimal input.
Are you trying to keep me from doing my general tirade about AI?
No, actually,
yeah, I normally I have a habit, if this is your first time listening, about ranting about the next great AI that had to be fully programmed by a human before it could do anything, and so it's not actually general AI, while it is incredible and has its uses. I've said enough about that. This is fascinating. Last week my pick was one of them was what if absurd hypothetical questions answered as serious scientific
that's almost a title.
Problems.
Silly scientific answers to absurd hypothetical questions, I believe.
There's also almost a cat on my lap, so it's a little distracting. But he does go into detail about this issue at one point, painting the picture of okay, if you show a human or a machine this picture, there's a kid with a cowboy hat on, there's a rope dangled across the floor, a broken vase on the ground. It appeared to be on a shelf above where the vase is broken, and a cat is gathered at the vase. What happened in this scene? Jack, do you have any ideas? How would you interpret that?
I'm sorry. I as you were saying all that, I just instantly got like a Bad Religion song stuck in my head because it sounded like it was from Generator, and that's all I could think of. So I completely missed your question.
Scup is, I think, generally agreeing that my story isn't nearly as interesting as her making biscuits too. But okay, so a kid with a cowboy hat and a lasso.
Given an image, you were able to infer what occurred, even though it's a very complicated scenario. And
I do want to hear the scenario again, though.
Okay, so there's a kid with a cowboy hat and a lasso. There's a broken vase on the ground and a cat sniffing at the broken vase. And a shelf that's now empty. And a woman, standing there, like, looks like she's tapping her foot. What happened in this?
I'm gonna infer that the child with the cowboy hat and lasso knocked down the vase, and the cat was inspecting it.
Exactly. Yeah, you would be probably 100% accurate there. Most machines aren't ever going to be able to touch your capability for inferring what happened in that image.
Right. There'd be a million incorrect suggestions before it got anywhere near that realm of
the cat revived out of the vase and the child was trying to tie it up before the vase actually broke. Like there's all kinds of things that the mom's now freaking out because there's a zombie cat walking around, right? All kinds of possible scenarios that could have happened that we immediately just say no, that doesn't make any sense. And the human brain is evolved towards that. Again, credit goes to Randall Munroe for this scenario. But this is actually the study and the research that you're describing, Chuck, is working to bridge that gap. And that's really incredible.
I love this because, I mean, this is always one thing that, kind of like what you said earlier, Chuck. What I've always thought about AI almost being what we had at least is already like pointless. I think because of the fact that a human has to program it to do what it's doing. At that point, it's pointless. But the fact that it's able to kind of predict a few seconds in the future of what's going to happen without even any base knowledge of even physics or anything like that, that is absolutely insane. I love that, and I just can't wait to actually see what this moves towards.
It's also incredible. I would really like to see how they achieve this, but I imagine they had an entire database of potential item shapes, responses, and it may not actually be as magnificent as this article's describing. It could just be a lot of taking AI to a standard where they're actually programming in the idea of, hey, weigh potentials from this database instead of just making a decision from this database. Does that make sense? Make a decision based on the potentials in it.
In this specific robot, one of the things that the article is discussing is the fact that the video prediction relies only on the observations that were collected autonomously by the robot through camera images. That in comparison to other models, which did require thousands or millions of images that were labeled to help define things to the robot. So in this case, it's saying that it was absolutely self-taught from the ground up.
Which we know is a bullshit statement. Like they're trying to make... Where do you draw the line? They didn't take a rock and shape it in the form of a robot and it taught itself.
Right.
So they've programmed it at some point. And
There's
what they're saying now
software,
is
yes.
It doesn't have to have something else contextualize things for them. But all that's telling me is that the exact environment and scenario does not have to be contextualized. Because it has a database of potentials that it can weigh its options and possible outcomes against. So instead of looking at an exact object and seeing thousands of pictures of what might happen in different situations and contextualizing that way, it can say, for instance, there's that ball on the table. If I push that ball, because it's a ball shape and I know what ball shapes do, it's probably going to roll in the direction I push it in. And now you tell me if in the article that might be something that is opposed to what this robot's actually doing.
Well, I mean, I think it seems to be suggested in the article that there was no information regarding the fact that this round object would roll. That this was something that it was able to determine as it began to learn physics based off observation and interaction with the environment.
Okay, so it is contextualizing things itself.
Yes, it had no
it's creating its
understanding
own
of physics.
Okay,
So-
it's creating its own potential table of potentials. Okay.
Through
Yeah.
interaction.
So this
Interesting.
also brings up, I mean, the same thing that I brought up, I think a few weeks ago on the show was the robot that the only thing it was programmed to do was get to from point A to point B, but did not know how to stand up, walk, jump, climb, or anything like that. And it taught itself how to get up, how to walk, how to run, how to climb, how to jump, just to get to point B. And it taught
Right.
itself that. So, I mean, it's kind of the same idea.
Yeah, I mean,
feel
we're
like-
branching off from where our neural networks were developed by feeding tons of external information and be it images or footage of something or a playback of a game for Go for the DeepMind, or was it DeepMind? No, I can't remember the Go robot. I think it was DeepMind. Either way, in these cases now with this robot and the one you're talking about, it doesn't have that external tome of information that it has to play through to develop its neural network. It's doing it on its own.
Yeah.
So it's just given one goal and that's it. And then it has to populate the data. And as it's populating the data, it begins to develop a neural network through its observations.
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, that's the most important thing to me, at least, about this this article. So it's not necessarily like, oh, robots are going to be able to see the future. It's the fact that that is something that was unique to humans. And that's something that my understanding is, well, not just humans, but, advanced species compared to others, is the fact that we have the ability to, with great accuracy, predict the future in as much as if you see a footprint on the ground, you would decide that this means a creature was walking in that direction and could be found there, so you go there and find that creature.
Right.
Right. This system of decision making that we do based on potential outcomes is pretty phenomenal. However, I think we do want to put the emphasis on that because it's the decision making based on potentials that's so incredible, not the fact that it's predicting the future in some way. I mean, AI, machines, programs have been predicting the future forever. For instance, I don't know if y'all have heard of the Library of Babel, but Jack, I did send you an article earlier, and you may or may not have noticed that article came from the Library of Babel. Would you mind reading it to us real quick?
Yes, I will. Okay. Let me bring it up. And I still want you to discuss the context in which this is talking about, because
We will.
I was a little bit dumbfounded when I read this. But in a move that has not been seen since the release of Majora's Mask, Nintendo releases a second installment of Breath of the Wild. A game script has been... That's weird the way I wrote that, sorry. A game script has been leaked that shows the possibility for the primary grunting and voiceless character to not only speak, but also to die. This is not any ordinary death that would prompt a game over, but rather your playthrough would be taken over by one of the Sheikah as your primary character. This is not the only major shift in game lore that we have seen in this script. Sorry, this thing is really broken up retardedly.
Yeah.
So, seen in the script, there is alternate dialogue at this juncture. First, stating that this is a reoccurring transition, and another suggesting that the Sheikah transition happened only after a Gerudo one. We are unsure of how to take this idea and have no idea how these plot developments will be communicated to the gamer, but it seems to be a welcome change compared some of the more this is wording retarded, sorry. Change compared some of the more
Repetitive themes in the game.
Repetitive themes. Yeah, sorry. The word's broken in half. Oh,
Yeah.
God. That was a nightmare to read. Yeah.
It is a tough read, but using your amazing human intuition, what do you expect? Where did that article come from?
So I noticed that it said that it had, I mean, they brought up the new release of the second installment of Breath of the Wild, the DLC for it. But I mean, really, did they pull I'm really confused. Did they pull something from that DLC that found this, or?
So a little bit of background to the Library of Babel. It's a website that catalogs everything that's ever been written by humans.
Everything that will ever be written by humans.
Oh, we've talked about this before.
Chuck's giving it away a little bit, but
I forgot about that.
It is a website that catalogs everything. So that article was not created. It was searched for.
Oh my god. Fuck, dude. I forgot about the Library of Babel.
It already existed before Chuck or I even discussed the idea of giving you a Zelda game script that spoiled the next game.
I'm sorry. I just hit my mic, but my head hurts. I forgot all about. I erased that shit out of my mind. I locked it away, far away, because my head hurts.
to expound upon this, what Jack just read was page 329, and this is a fact. It will forever be page 329 of a book that was volume 7 on shelf 3 of wall 4 of a hexagon. The hexagon has its own specific name, which is unintelligible. It's a series of letters and numbers up to, I don't know, it looks like several hundred characters
It's like,
long.
yeah, 256 probably.
Yeah, that hexagon. So the Library of Babel is a digital library that has a digital map, and anything you read there it exists. It's not randomly generated as you search for it. It is an actual existing collection of English characters in every specific order, every possible order, ever. Up to 3,200 characters, because anything over that, I mean, you would use all of the storage within the universe trying to calculate, infinite amount of text. So up to 3,200 characters, every combination is logged in this library.
I mean, this should be
Go
an
ahead,
episode
Jack.
of Doctor Who based off of this fucking thing. Like, it drives me nuts.
I mean, I think I really do just want to drive that point home that that's not a fictitious script that I wrote.
Yeah.
It is a script I came up with that I searched for that already existed.
Yeah.
That was there before I ever searched for it, before I came up with it in my head.
You just wrote that out, and it was already there inside the Library of Babylon.
It was already filed away. It had its place there. Yeah, absolutely. Also, there were 8 million other occurrences of that exact same thing, surrounded by other words. At least 8 million. It may have been 8 billion.
That is, out of anything that we've ever talked about on this show, astronomy, any kind of crazy aspect out there that we've talked about, this is the one that makes me feel the smallest for some reason. I mean, I feel alone and scared because of this fucking website.
Are you ready to feel more alone and scared? Because we're about to talk about the system that makes this possible.
I mean, kick me while I'm down. Go for it.
Kick you while you're down. Chuck, do you want to take it, or should I?
If you don't mind taking it, but let me just try sharing this screen real quick.
Yeah.
Because I want to no, I haven't had any luck with screen sharing this afternoon. Let's
I
take a
know,
look.
it's been...
Is that there?
It's been rough, yeah.
Was that a successful share?
That is a successful share. And so you actually have it surrounded by the random words. It also appears as the title of a book in other places.
Page 95 of 410, the bold text reads, "This week we confront a new terrifying villain, half man, half microwave, all evil. The Mean Cuisine enters our hall of superhumans. Also, this week's episode is entirely scripted. You can find your copy of the script and read along with us at the libraryofbabel.info. We have a dream, we have an agenda, and we clearly just want to watch the world burn in a blazing ball of anarcho-nerd culture. Jack will die alone."
Was the next word on there actually womp?
Wait, was it?
It was WAPS, Independence, Mesolite,
Okay.
Phrenologize,
like
Lamp
Womp.
Shells, Nephilism,
Mesolite.
Larcenist, Cowpapa, Race Me. Yeah.
So, again, this is a very Randall Monroe themed episode, but
Yep.
he quotes someone from, I don't know. I'm not going to attempt the name. I'm not going to attempt the place, but it's the idea of the eternal day. And it's a proverb, very Confucian style, that starts and says, imagine a bird that goes to a mountain every day. On top of this mountain, there is a rock. This rock is 100 miles wide and 100 miles tall. That bird goes every now and then to sharpen its beak on that rock. When that rock has been ground into nothing and there is nothing remaining, the first day of eternity has passed. That's your eternal day. Randall Monroe examines the idea of Twitter. How many intelligible English sentences can be conveyed own Twitter with just 144 characters. And bear in mind, the Library of Babel is 3,200 characters. And he takes this example to, I won't tell you about the algorithms he used or how he decided to calculate it, but basically he takes that eternal day, one eternal day, turns into at least an eternal year, turns into at least an eternal century, turns into at least an eternal millennium. 10,000 eternal years is how long it would take humans to read every possible Twitter message that is in English decipherable terms.
And that's all humans, not just one human reading them all. It's every human.
He makes the point
Christ.
that there are so many possibilities. It doesn't matter if it's one human or 6 billion humans. If they're reading all day, 16 hours a day, every day for their entire life, it makes almost no difference at all in the time span. So that many orders of magnitude does not matter. It's insignificant compared to the amount that we're talking about here. With the Library of Babel, you've got about 22 times more characters, and that's not 22 times more that you're having to deal with.
Right.
These are actual English words, and you've got, it's like 22 powers more of information that you're going to have to sort through to go through all of the Library of Babel. So, despite the fact that all that information is there and it's there so many times, and everything that ever will be written or has been written exists in there, you're not gonna find it unless you think it up and search for it.
Yeah. It's so nuts. I love the Library of Babel, but I'm locking that back up and I hope to forget about it forever.
Yeah, it definitely does boggle the mind.
Right. It's like, you think about how small you are in relation to the galaxy. I think it's very safe to say that we are extremely relevant. Our planet to the galaxy is extremely relevant compared to the pages we just read out of the Library of Babel to its entire its entirety. It's such an unimaginable number.
Yeah.
Again, that eternal year analogy kind of really conveys that how long would it take a bird to wear away at a 100-mile tall and wide rock? And that's just one day of eternity. Yes, it's so overwhelming. It makes you feel so small. And it's also pretty awesome. I would like to say, as one minor correction, we don't have enough storage to store the Library of Babel. So it's not pre-stored. It's algorithmically generated when someone searches for it.
Yeah.
Right, but it will always,
it already exists. It will always exist at that same spot. It's just not stored in that format.
It's ephemeral, yeah.
Yes. And it's amazing that technology, that they can go through that much information and contain it in an algorithm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is so insane.
Phenomenal. It really, I think it definitely, that combined with the advancements that we've already made with artificial intelligence, I mean, there's very little question as to the validity behind coexisting with humanoid robots in the future. I mean, I don't know. I know I sound like I'm doing my whole Elon Musk crazy robot uprising fear thing, but it's an absolute undeniable fact because it's even written in the Library of Babel that our robot overlords will.
Well, I think you're forgetting about all the instances of the ant overlords overthrowing both humans and robots.
That's true too.
What if you make up a language for like a novel you're writing in the future? Could you find it in the Book of Babel?
Of course,
or the Library of Babel?
Yeah, as long as it's just using English characters,
it'll find anything.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Any combination of English characters. It's
wow.
insane.
Jesus.
Yep. It's frightening almost. So On to nerd news for the day, because we want to probably try to not bore everyone. Google and Amazon are going head to head, and they are not playing nicely with each other. A couple of months ago, YouTube pulled its official app off of Amazon
The
Echo Show.
Yeah.
So
Amazon was able to bypass it by just directing users to the website and allowing them to watch YouTube stuff there. Not ideal, because the application, of course, works better for these types of devices.
So I do feel like we need to insert this here real quick. Full disclosure, Jack works with a company that is at least affiliated with Google.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if we were going to address that or not, but yeah, I
I
guess.
wasn't either, but
So I don't want to call out exactly
course.
what you work for or anything like that.
yeah,
However,
please don't.
anything that could be said that would be disparaging that you actually work for them could be really there could be legal consequences behind that. So we do want to give full disclosure.
I mean, if you want to know who he works for, what you can do is go to Amazon and search for what products you can't buy through Amazon. And
Can we just edit that part out?
no, it's there's several items that you can't purchase on Amazon, and I didn't even really realize until today whenever I decided to look for a Chromecast. And the first search result is, an Alexa show. The second thing is a Roku.
Yeah.
And then the third thing is a power supply for a Chromecast.
And
That's like
within
the only thing you can buy.
And within the company I work for, this is something that, I noticed right away. Once it happened, I think it was like a month ago. Of course, we noticed it right away. So it's something we've been dealing a lot with, so.
Yeah, as of January 1st, you won't be able to reach YouTube from any of the Amazon devices. They're just directly being blocked. And, it seems like it's an attempt for Google to strong-arm Amazon and to start carrying their devices, because it is extremely, I want to call it juvenile. It's absurd, because Amazon, above all else, has been this great platform for being able to buy and get items without having to go to a store, and directly managing the market by not allowing certain companies' devices to be sold through their service it says a lot about Amazon. And I've lost quite a bit of respect, because that kind of behavior is absurd. There's no place for it in, we're talking about Amazon being able to have like sky cities delivering shit to us through drones and stuff. Like, the future with Amazon seems so amazing. That's just absurd.
Jack, do you mind if I go on one of my classic rants and you can hide your face from the screen while I do it? It's going to be against an associated company for you. So
I'm intrigued. Go ahead.
You're intrigued. All right. You want to hear it at the very least. That you're not necessarily endorsing anything I'm saying, but and seriously, fuck Google. This is wrong of them.
Google
Amazon's a retailer. They have a right not to carry the products they don't want to. Google's over here talking about net neutrality constantly, how the internet needs to be free and open, but they're the gatekeepers. They're the ones who have the App Store. They can keep content away from people, and they're controlling it. They have all this like, oh, Comcast is evil, and if we don't enforce net neutrality, then Comcast and AT&T will control the internet, and they'll be evil gatekeepers. Well, you know what? Google's doing that.
You're not wrong.
They are doing that exactly. They're pulling Amazon products from their app stores. Are they affecting search with it as well?
Probably. I mean,
they're violating antitrust, in my opinion. This seems like antitrust in a lot of ways. And Google, I think, and Jack, you again, Jack's not. This is not coming from him, but I think they have been pushing the idea of violating antitrust for years. The only thing that separated them from Microsoft in the 90s is the fact that they didn't have the over 90% monopoly on mobile that Microsoft had on PCs. And when you've got as much power as they do, even if they don't have that full monopoly, and you're allowing people to not get certain content based on your own personal squabble, it's kind of evil to me. They did the same thing with Windows Phone. They dicked Microsoft around for years. Microsoft finally, made their own YouTube app after trying to say, hey, Google, this is YouTube is something we would like on our platform. We'll let you develop the app and everything like that. We'll give you the labor for it, and we'll put it completely under your purview if you want. And they'd be like, yeah, no, we'll do that. And this went on for like a year and a half, and finally Microsoft's like, okay. And they shit an app out in like a week, and it was amazing. It was like the best YouTube app I've ever used. And then Google took them to court, and they shut that app down. And the judge told Google, no, you have to
bring in a consultant, and you have to help. Yeah. I remember that. I remember hearing about that.
And
I think all Google did after that was just send a guy over there just to be like,
yeah, it was like once a month they'd send a guy over there. And the way they muscle people, and they try to act like they control the content. And net neutrality needs to be applied to both Google and Amazon. This is if you believe in net neutrality, then those regulations should be applied to any gatekeepers as well.
I'm changing my homepage to Bing, by the way.
Oh boy. Yeah. Hold on, I need to Bing something real quick.
That might be a little bit extreme, but let's not be too crazy.
It's frustrating because this week during prep for the show, I came across several articles of companies acting in what can only be described as childlike, just absurd.
They are like giant kids. Like it's ridiculous. It seems like it. Like they're just like giant kids yelling at each other. Like, fine, you don't want to share? Give me all my stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Epic Games is suing a 14-year-old.
This shit, yeah.
Oh my god.
Because this kid was streaming and using some cheats that, he downloaded from a third party and was streaming while cheating at the game. And Epic Games filed a DCMA and a takedown against him. And so they took down his page, so he went to his alternate account and started streaming again with him cheating, but this time like the stream was called Fuck Epic Games or something like that. And he filed a retort saying, unban my channel because this isn't, I didn't do any copyright, infringement or whatever. And in return, Epic Games is now filing a lawsuit against this 14-year-old for something like $150,000 in damages and loss of revenue.
Yeah.
The only thing they're saying when they're confronted, like, what the hell's wrong with you? You're suing a 14-year-old kid for playing your game? They're saying that they are forced by law to file the lawsuit because his request to stop revoke the DCMA complaint, they only have two options. Option A is go ahead and withdraw their claim, or they have to, their hands are tied, file a lawsuit against this child.
Oh, yeah.
Fuck this, because, literally because of this story, I read up on this, and because of this, I probably won't ever touch anything from Epic Games ever again.
Yep.
I fuck them as a company. You're gonna sue a 14-year-old, just do what everybody else does. Fucking ban them from the game.
Hey, let's get a list of Epic Games games.
Well, unfortunately, the only thing that I care about from this is the Unreal Engine and Unreal Tournament.
Ah, fuck. That's Epic?
But I think that technically falls under a different division.
I think
it's
so
not
too.
the same.
if you look for Unreal Engine, it's developed and published by Epic Games.
That really upsets me.
Yeah,
That's
That's awful.
I mean, Midway was a distributor, but Epic Games was the developer and publisher.
Was Epic Games developer and publisher during?
I mean, wait,
Unreal
you
99?
said a developer and publisher, or I thought you said Midway Games was developer.
No, I
Let
think
me get
Midway
that.
Games was the distributor or something.
Oh, okay. Yeah, if they're the developers, then you're right. Do we want to move on, add some levity to this? I do have one story that could add some levity to a very similar situation.
Well, the other stupid company doing something stupid is Activision for going against a husband and wife couple who have a dog poop cleaning business that they've called Call of Duty. Activision's real worried that they aren't going to get their excellent game sales this year just because someone might inadvertently go with the competition and get their dog shit cleaned up. Sorry. Yes, please add levity to this, Matt.
I'm going to avoid the trademark conversation this time. I think it's wrong. I think, wow, there should be obvious penalties for companies that make these frivolous lawsuits against individuals. That being said, did y'all hear about the guy who, he ordered a pay-per-view MMA fight and sat there for 3 hours on Twitch with a controller, acting like he was playing one of the new MMA games for the entire pay-per-view stream?
No. Okay.
Jack's
Wow.
eyebrows just went up.
Do you have more details on this?
I don't. I just, you brought this subject
You
up,
fucking
and
cock tease.
I'm sure we can drop a link in our notes.
Holy
but,
shit!
That's phenomenal. That's hilarious. I love
That's
that.
amazing.
it's pretty amazing. Yes.
So, guys, we recently discussed Detective Pikachu and the individuals they were hoping to cast, and they finally got a lock. And Ryan Reynolds is your Detective Pikachu, so you can go ahead and begin the Rule 34 Deadpool
Hi, Skip.
Pikachu stuff. Oh, hey, Skip. I'm okay with it, I guess. I just really liked the idea of like The Rock or someone with like a gravelly voice. I wanted it to be out of place.
Danny
Ryan Reynolds
DeVito,
already
like we
has.
said beforehand, would have been great.
Yeah.
See,
Fantastic. So
he's gonna do everything he can to get that Pikachu dressed up as Deadpool at some point.
oh yeah, it's probably already out there.
Which I think I'm okay with it. I think he's
too.
going to do a great job of blending that adult and child humor, where he'll tell some jokes that'll go over a child's head. It's
Yeah.
supposed to be a family movie, right?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead, Chick.
I am a little bit excited about this. I'm definitely okay with it because Ryan Reynolds has been one of the actors that has really, at first, whenever I first learned of him in like, was it Van Wilder or whatever, and then
Yeah.
in Shenanigans, I think was the name of that movie or whatever. Well, Waiting. Sorry, that movie. I didn't really much care for him at all. Actually, I thought he was kind of garbage. Didn't care.
Why?
He was all right, but it was like I think it was really just the movies that he was playing in. But I don't know. Like he wasn't terrible. He was fine. I think it's the movies that he played in that I didn't care for really that much. Then with Deadpool, it completely turned me around because he was phenomenal, and I actually saw what everybody was in, like why everybody liked Ryan Reynolds at that point. And because of that, I think that I am okay with him being Detective Pikachu, even though I did want somebody like The Rock, like what you are talking about. But I think there's going to be some underlying like comedy there that not everybody's going to catch. I'm a little bit interested in it.
Y'all heard about the Rock and Moana?
No?
Moana.
Oh, Moana.
Moana.
About
When
his
he was-
singing?
Yeah, his singing, he had to do like 32 different takes to because he was called so bad. Like he's the one who reported this story, but the staff was like, "This is just terrible," and so they pieced together like 32 different takes of him trying to sing that song to make it happen.
Yeah, he is not have a voice of gold. So, moving forward, Kurt Vonnegut, author of several wonderful books, including Slaughterhouse-Five, is coming to television. Slaughterhouse-Five is. The movie adaptation of it, I would recommend you probably never watch. It is so difficult to follow if you aren't familiar with the book. The premise behind Slaughterhouse-Five is about a man who lives his life out of sequence, where his consciousness changes at random between his future and his past, and he lives his life out of order. So he already, whenever he was 5, he was 81 and assassinated, and then the next day he was, a private in the army, and then the next day he wakes up and he's in a human zoo that aliens are observing. It's a strange book, to say the least, but living his life out of sequence, when you translate that to that film, it was very hard to follow if you weren't understanding the concept, because it doesn't just come right out and tell you what's happening. But the interesting thing about this is that the showrunner has decided that our main character, Billy, is really only an example of the things that are happening in this universe, and so they want to expound much more on it and do different takes from different characters who also live their life out of sequence, and what's actually going on with these aliens observing humans and all this other extra stuff. Unfortunately, we don't know what streaming service or network it's going to be attributed to just yet, so word's still out on that. However, it looks like Universal Cable is going to be the production team, and Universal Cable is attached to NBC, so I think that NBC may be trying to do their own streaming service. I wouldn't be surprised. So, I don't know. We'll have to check back in on that, but hopefully it comes out. Hopefully it's amazing. I would highly recommend it, and just read some Vonnegut. It'll make your life better.
I think there's a lot to be said for their streaming services that are pre-bundled.
Oh, yeah,
right.
Jordan brought that up years ago.
Yes.
I'm really nervous about this. As much as I like a la carte, there are just going to be so many streaming services out there, and there's going to be so much politics involved that I'm starting to feel like it'll probably get worse and worse. I'm sorry, Jack, you were saying something.
I was just gonna bring up the fact that, Chuck, don't you have a tattoo of Kurt Vonnegut?
I've got Kurt Vonnegut's asshole. Sure do. That's what an asshole looks like. Thanks, Kurt. So it goes. Other exciting news. I'm a Trekkie. I'm not opposed to Star Wars. Don't get me wrong. Don't assassinate me. But I'm definitely a Trekkie. J.J. Abrams, of course, he did the Star Trek films and then moved on to start doing Star Wars as well. He was approached by Quentin Tarantino with a script for the next Star Trek, and apparently J.J. Abrams loved it and said, yeah, let's try doing that. Do you want to take a shot at it? So there's a chance that Quentin Tarantino may be directing the new Star Trek that he wrote. Now, I'm a Tarantino fan. I don't think there's a movie of his that I don't like that I have seen. But I am so scared shitless as to this man giving Star Trek a treatment. Like, I imagine Kirk cutting off Spock's ear while dancing around like some Reservoir Dogs shit. Like, there is going to... I don't know, man. Like, Samuel L. Jackson is going to have to be involved somehow, and... Oh, God, and Leatherface, fucking John Travolta with his fucking... Sorry, excuse me, I don't mean to be so rude to him, but he's horrifying looking right now. I guess he would make a good Romulan. I don't know. But it's happening, guys. I don't know where it's going to go and if Tarantino's going to be on it or not, but hopefully.
Where's Clooney gonna fit into this one?
Oh, that's a good question as well. I don't know. And in final news, Marvel is launching a scripted podcast starring Wolverine.
What?
Like in the style of Serial. I'm not sure if y'all have listened to the Serial podcast. It's a mystery drama kind of story going over some weird murder. At least season 1 was. So, yeah, Marvel's now trying their hand at doing a scripted dramatic podcast. Now, of course, I doubt this is going to be available freely on any of your usual services. You'll probably have to subscribe to something through Marvel to get it. I think that's a poor decision. I think since this is their first time trying something like this, they should make it free. So hopefully they
Agreed.
will.
Yeah.
Because I don't know many people who would get off their ass to subscribe to a Marvel only podcast feed if they only have one show.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, Marvel's doing a lot. Like
Sure are.
the MCU is expanding more and more every day. Y'all heard about the Spider-Verse film, right?
What's that?
It's an animated film they're coming out with that is exclusively about different Spider-Man. And you don't know how many it's about, but you do know there are multiple Spider-Mans coexisting in the same like timeline city. And the last question of the trailer is, how many of us are there?
That's interesting.
That is really interesting. Holy shit.
I would watch that.
Yeah, so... And there's this allusion to the fact that Peter Parker may have committed suicide starting this off. But I'm not really sure. I tried watching it. I tried getting back to it. I never did. I didn't get to look up anything. But it looked really interesting. And it seems to star one of the early 2000s Spider-Man, the Black Spider-Man with
Miles
red
Morales?
shoulder pads. And
Yeah,
yes,
that's Miles.
Yes. And yeah, it's I mean, I think I'd watch it. I'm kind of hungry for some Spider-Man in me.
Jeez, dude, with your hard feels and Spider-Man inside you, you got plenty to say today.
Let's
Yeah.
always make it intimate.
Actually, before I go into Stranger Than Fiction, I just have to get this off my chest. Someone is selling a used coffin on Facebook. There is a post that literally
I've
exists
seen this actually, yeah.
saying, and it's by someone with the name of King Major, said, anybody need a casket? One owner, slightly used, has been down once for 3 years, just pulled it back up because we decided to go a different route. $200 or best offer. Who
Yeah.
what do you mean a different route? Like, did you decide to make stew or turn them into a robot or what the fuck?
I mean,
Slightly used.
Became a science teacher and now has a skeleton sitting in his classroom.
maybe
Yeah.
they found out there were the big bucks in selling that body on the black market.
And how fucking weird is it to have fucking UPS deliver a coffin to your door? Like, does that fucking happen?
I imagine the shipping of that is going to exceed 200.
Yeah. That's just
Also, but $200 for a coffin, that's a steal.
it's a steal. You got to. Like, it's the most morbid, slightly used. Fuck it, reupholstered. I guess. I don't know. I mean, $200.
It's really fucked up because I imagine that I mean I don't see any issue or problem with somebody out there actually buying it.
Yeah. Like, I'm jealous that I didn't have the cash available and was able to follow up on this. Like, I feel like I missed a huge opportunity. This is going to be that, like, the what if that's going to stick with me till the day I die.
I
Oh
think
my
the
God.
major problem is, where do you store something like that? You've really got to have a need for it currently to be an eligible buyer. And to that person, I am so sorry for your loss.
Indeed.
I'm feeling horrible about having this conversation, right?
Fair enough, fair enough. We'll lighten things up with a little bit of Stranger Than Fiction. We all know how this is played. Stranger Than Fiction, I will give a true or false question to each of my co-hosts. They will be incorrect several times in a row, and then I will feel better about myself. And if there's a tie, which there's always a tie, somehow we'll go into the tiebreaker segment. So, Jack. The NES flight simulator Captain Skyhawk is the first console game to have a lawsuit filed against it. And this was due to several cases of nausea and simulated motion sickness.
False.
All right, point to Jack.
That sounded way too normal.
Did it?
Always give him the easy ones.
Fair enough. That's true, too.
Oh, fuck you.
Matt, in Halo 3, Halo 3 ODST, and Halo Reach, all of the Warthog's tires have the word Puma written on the tire wall, a reference to Rooster Teeth's Red vs. Blue.
True.
See, I give you easy ones too.
I would say Microsoft just went through and added a lot of stuff for Rooster Teeth alone. Even like
Yeah.
Griffball and everything.
Oh yeah, yeah. I actually recently watched a video on that. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, Jack. The song Jordan by eccentric guitarist Buckethead actually didn't have a name, nor was it ever recorded before he submitted it to Harmonix for Guitar Hero.
I'm going to say true on that one.
Pretty cool. That's an absolute fact. He played it randomly on live shows, but never named it and never recorded it until that point in time.
You
And
give
he
him the
about that.
Buckethead question.
Yep. Matt.
I thought you liked to mix it up on us. I mean,
Well, I've got to give you the Sonic one. Miles
Okay.
Prower, aka Tails, from the Sonic franchise, was originally designed with purple fur and rollerblades and was to be named Rails.
okay. So I heard the last like 3 words of that question, but I'm going to say false.
All right. We're tied.
Well, we're
I do
doing good.
not think Tails was going to be named Rails.
You can tell I may have rushed my bullshit ones today. Okay, Jack? In Zelda 2, The Adventures of Link, there's a fairy spell that will allow you to access items that are in otherwise locked rooms. This same fairy was intended to be a party member in Zelda 3, A Link to the Past, in which Shigeru Miyamoto had always intended for it to be a party combat system.
I want to say false.
You would be wrong.
Really?
Since at the beginning of designing Zelda 2, he already knew that Zelda 3 was going to be a party combat system like Final Fantasy or Dragon Quest, right? Yeah, Dragon Quest.
Interesting.
Yep. It was going to be a 4-party thing. So, and Matt. Yoshi's real name is T. Yoshisaur Munchakoopas.
It's not going to be a tie today, Chuck.
Oh,
False.
yeah? It is true. So that's a
Fuck.
tie. Okay, guys. For the tiebreaker here, I want y'all to name the company. Lindsay Lohan sued this video game company twice. The first
Konami.
lawsuit,
Capcom.
the first lawsuit
Sega.
was because her likeness was used, in which a woman was shown with blonde hair in a bikini similar to one that Lohan owned.
EA.
In that lawsuit,
Dead Alive. Fuck, who did it?
they actually had to pull out they had to get a picture of the actress that they actually did use and show it to Lindsay Lohan, saying, no, you're dumb. This is who we used, this is who we paid, and this is who's credited. The second lawsuit was for a mission involving helping a poor actress escape from paparazzi, a life experience that Lindsay Lohan had to experience as well.
Is this a console game company or a like
started
mobile
off
game
off on
company?
PC. The franchise did, but it's now on all the systems ever, I'm pretty sure.
EA.
Okay, so
Their
Scattershot,
first instinct,
Square-
rather than
Square Enix,
countersuing her, was just
Squaresoft.
taking her in the back of a car and beating the crap out of her to get their money back.
Rockstar.
There you go. Jack for the win. Lindsay Lohan sued Rockstar twice, and both of
my
them
God.
were for just selfish, stupid, absolutely false reasoning. Saying, well, I had to run from paparazzi, so you're trying to take the likeness of my life with this mission. And also, just assuming that they used her likeness for one of the splash screen logos. It's totally absurd.
That's ridiculous.
It is, it is. So, gentlemen, do you have any wins this week?
I have
got a
two.
bunch.
I have two.
Awesome.
Number one is Breath of the Wild DLC Pack 2. Fucking
cool, it's
amazing.
out?
Yes, it was released on Thursday. You get a fucking motorcycle. Kind of badass.
Really?
Yeah, it's weird.
Motorcycle?
No, it's fucking awesome though. I'm so happy. My second win, however, and this is just because of Matt. Give me a second.
What the hell is he going to do? I knew he was going to hit that microphone. Oh. You just need to have your cat in the picture too?
My cat is awesome. Say hello
Hi,
to
Kiddington. Welcome to Catcast.
So,
It's
just for the
Catcast.
audio listeners, we've had a lot of discussion about a scup this episode, and my cat has been particularly needy all episode with her meows and jumping on my laps and clawing the hell out of my thighs and getting upset that I didn't let her in my lap. So, now Jack's got Lord Kiddington, which
I've
he
got
is in
Kiddington's brother here. I could try to grab Timmy, but Timmy, known as Cthulhu, would probably murder the fuck out of me.
Yeah, I just scared the shit out of Kiddington. Now he's about to walk across the desk.
Hey, buddy.
Amazing.
We'll just muke you out for the rest of the episode, Jack.
So do you have a win, Matt?
I do. Two short ones. The first one is Final Fantasy XIV came out with, for the Bard class, a performance mode where you can make entire songs, and there's some really great YouTube clips of people who clearly practiced making full songs, like full symphonic songs, all parts to the song, and like their player characters are just going crazy, flicking their harps or whatever. And I think that's really cool. I think it's really cool when a
cool
game
feature.
adds a feature like that.
Yeah. It's
second-
brilliant.
Second, I just want to double down on that book, What If by Randall Munroe.
Mhm.
Such a spectacular book. It has been something I've been listening to, you know, in the 30 minutes before I fall asleep or in the drives I've had to make this week. And it really great. Really great.
Yeah, I think I'm 36 chapters in because I wasn't lying whenever you brought up this win last week. I was like, I'm going to have to start that. And sure enough, I did. I listened to it every day on my commute to and back from work.
How do you like it?
Man, sometimes I have to keep re-listening because there's so much information and complicated math and science behind.
But he makes
his
it fun,
explanations.
right?
They're hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious. Now I want to get a physical copy of the book because right now,
Yes.
obviously I'm doing the audiobook because this is the creator of XKCD and each chapter is filled with tons of his illustrations, kind of describing the stuff he's talking about, and so I really need to get a hard copy of that book for sure. But it is absolutely phenomenal. It's definitely hilarious, sometimes scary. He does talk several times about our inevitable destruction, and it's like, oh boy, I guess we can laugh about that. I have to follow up with that. I'd absolutely recommend What If to anyone. I've never read anything like it, and now I just want more and more of that.
I'm gonna have to pick that up.
My wins, welcome to Night Vale, an amazing podcast, absolutely just unique in every way.
I need to catch up on that.
They're now getting a TV show. Welcome to Night Vale TV show. FX is doing it, so you got Fox's budget behind it. And because of FX, that means it's probably going to be available on Hulu as well, since Fox owns like a third of that.
I am so excited. Oh my
Me
god.
too. I am so stoked. I don't know if they're going to have Cecil actually be the actor in the show. I hope they do, because I wouldn't be satisfied with anyone else trying to voice Cecil.
Oh, absolutely.
So I think they have to. So hopefully they will.
And seeing them live was fantastic. So I can't even imagine what an actual TV show would be like with that kind of production.
Yep. They're killing it. They're getting, they have huge book deals now.
Oh my god, fuck
And
yes.
Jason Fink's also releasing a book for Alice Isn't Dead, another podcast that they do. Like, these guys are amazing. It's really a phenomenal show.
I do just want to interject real quick. You mean, what we skipped a pretty big topic this week for time, but you do mean it's got Disney money behind it, not Fox money, right?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah, there has there been an announcement yet? Because earlier in the week they said there should be an announcement next week, I believe.
Yeah, that's
I don't
what
know
thought
if
as
the
well.
announcements come through, but there
So-
was clarification from a topic we spoke on last week, and it looks like it will only be 21st Century Fox acquired by Disney. The news will remain separate,
And
which
sports will
does
remain
alleviate the concerns I expressed.
separate for monopoly on the news. So yeah, this may very likely be a thing. And I'm not sad about that.
I'm
Honestly.
not. We can finally bring together the Marvel Cinematic Universe the way it's supposed to be.
I want to also bring up The Orville. I finally had a chance to sit down and start it. The Orville is a comedy sci-fi show done by Seth MacFarlane, the creator of Family Guy and American Dad and all those. And I grew up watching Family Guy and always found it to be particularly hilarious, but at the same time, like, over the years, I thought I kind of outgrew my Seth MacFarlane phase, and so I wasn't interested in watching The Orville. I gave it a shot, and I have to say the first episode made me laugh a couple times. It seemed a bit too fart jokey for it to be a good sci-fi show, but I've continued to watch it, and it matures so quickly while still being able to make,
Fart jokes.
various jokes that seem ill-fitting for the drama in the show. But it is legitimately a great installment in the Star Trek series, even though it's obviously not Star Trek. It's meant to pay homage to it, and it does
Right.
exactly that. It is well done, and
I've been curious
I can't
about
recommend it
so-
enough.
Awesome.
It's on Hulu. I definitely recommend giving it a shot. I can't stop watching it. I'm almost done with the entire series, and I started watching it like 2 days ago, I think. So, I mean, there's only 12 episodes right now, but I do believe it's been picked up for a second season that's in production right now, if I'm not mistaken.
You know what? Chuck, did you have your another pick?
I do have one that I want to close us out with, so
Okay.
take
So
over.
then let me go ahead and go. So I kind of bullshitted my picks this week. I did want to double down on What If because it's a great read and we talked about it so much. However, let me revisit last week, and I want to pick South Park again.
I haven't seen it yet. Ugh.
Okay, so the last line in the show was my only big complaint. I felt like they had beat the joke to death by that point, and they should have been more reserved about it and been clever with it. Other than that, though, I think they're really kind of getting back to that philosophical, subtle root of having this strong social analogy going on. And it does a great job of making you feel uncomfortable about who you are and who you identify as and how you think about others. And give it a listen and let it kind of challenge your own beliefs. I read a listen or fuck me. I'm sorry. Clearly, I talk about books a lot more than I do TV shows. Give it a watch. Give South Park a watch, especially the last 2 episodes of this season. I felt were very poignant. So
I'm excited. Hopefully I'll be watching that tonight. That's my plan. I wanted to close out with something the daughter showed me yesterday. The Inspirobot, which is an alleged AI that generates inspirational unquote quotes on the fly. You just generate, and then you'll have a wonderful poster. Nuclear annihilation is worth it. That's it. Only when you learn to accept other people's everything will you find a partner.
That's
And
amazing.
a chant a day keeps the brains away. It is
One more for luck, please.
history is sheer coincidence.
I think that one complements the first one.
Yeah.
I concur. With that being said, thank you guys for tuning in. As always, you can reach us through several social media, email, smoke signal type things. You can find all that information at loseturn.com. Until next week, peace, thanks, love you.